I am Oyiza Adaba. I'm standing here in front of the Smithsonian Museum, the National Museum of African Arts at the Smithsonian Institute. It's an amazing location, a very historic monumental location right here in the center of Washington, D.C. And guess what? Bruce Onobrakpeya, Sir Bruce Onobrakpeya, that is, Nigerian artist, printmaker. He's been there for decades, over 6 decades of artistic work. Is showing his, for the first time in Washington, D.C. at this museum. The exhibition is titled The Mask and the Cross. So that's why I'm here. Let's go inside and check it out.
The Smithsonian's National Museum of African Art showcases works by sculptor and printmaker Bruce Onobrakpeya, who's considered one of the fathers of postcolonial Nigerian modernism.
In 1964, almost to the day, Warren Robin opened the museum on Capitol Hill, in the Capitol Hill townhouse once owned by Frederick Gomez. His original vision to promote cross-cultural learning, understanding, and communication through African art remains a foundation of our mission today to be a 21st century global African art museum. And we see this revolutionary idea in the museum of raising the performing arts to educational and participatory programs.
We wanted the exhibition not only to reflect that's very important part of the career of Bruce Onobrakpeya, but also wanted the show to reflect the relationship between the artist and the museum itself through its long-standing contribution to the history of the museum.
The process that usually takes so long in putting an exhibition together is finding the works and loaning works from lots of different people. And so I knew we didn't have time for that, and I went to work kind of quickly trying to understand the collection as it exists. And I found 14 works in a complete series, an early edition of prints by Bruce Onobrakpeya, which was the 14 Stations of the Cross. It had never been on display before. It had been in the collection for maybe about 15 years. We got it from a diplomat who had passed away. His children then gave it to the institution. We decided to take advantage of the National Museum's own collection and sort of contextualize Bruce with other Nigerian artists of the 1960s who were working in printmaking as well, many of whom also sort of likewise used this method of sort of demonstrating their religious and cultural multiple belonging. There's a lot of Christian motifs in those works as well.
The Mask and the Cross features works by the artist from 1966 to 1978, a period when he completed multiple commissions for the Catholic Church, including his seminal 14 Stations of the Cross series. Onobrakpeya blends Christian iconography, Nigerian folklore, and West African traditions, and he interprets spiritualism through a global lens. This exhibition was originally shown at the High Museum of Atlanta in 2023, and this was Onobrakpeya's first major solo exhibition at a museum in the United States. A section of the exhibition developed exclusively for the National Museum of Art features works by Onobrakpeya's contemporaries represented in the museum's collection. These Nigerian printmakers similarly explore faith and spirituality through the lens of African heritage and mythology.
All of these works, or most of them at least, were created within 5 years after I was born. So I want to think or believe I'm part of the inspiration. Certainly, there was a lot of color in my father's life. These are pieces that speak about our spirituality as a people. And they are works created from 1968 up to about 1975, a little beyond. My father wasn't interested in showing the art of the historical people from Jerusalem. But he was interested in depicting or a narrative about the Christness in all of us. Finally, I want to say that they were not as welcome at that point because they were very revolutionary. But today, looking at those pieces, I think he took a leap of faith and anchored the fact that perhaps Christ too was one of us in spirit.
We're really delighted to present this exhibition to the public and think it will resonate with our very diverse audiences from around the world. And it also fits within the context of a series of things the museum is doing, funded by Lilly Endowment, Inc., which has given us a transformational grant to support exhibitions and programs that look at the religious and spiritual context of works of African art, whether they're historical or contemporary. So that's just another dimension that the museum can share of its collections, which are extraordinary. And we welcome everyone to visit.
The Smithsonian's National Museum of African Art is the only museum in the world dedicated solely to the collection, conservation, study, and exhibition of African arts across time and media. They have over 13,000 artworks that span more than 1,000 years of African history.
From boards to beads to fashion to basics, paintings, photographs, icons, acrylic, wood, name it. It's all in here at the National Museum of African Arts at the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. Please be sure to stop by here whenever you're in town and see this amazing collection. It is absolutely mind-blowing.
The Mask and the Cross opened on June 21st and it's on through January 21st, 2025. Oyiza Adaba reporting.